Good evening, everyone. This week's Parsha is Parshas Nasso, Tavshin Pei Gimel. And we're going to start at the end of the Parsha. And then, depending on how much time we have, we'll go back to something towards the beginning of the Parsha. All right, so this is Perek Zayin. Pasuk Aleph. Verse 1. Okay, so actually, I need to finish with Rashi. Okay, Vayihi. This is Perek Zayin, chapter 7, Pasuk Aleph, verse 1. Vayihi b'yom kalois Moshe lakim es hamishkan. It was on the day that Moshe completed setting up the Mishkan. Vayimshach Yisai, he anointed it. Vayikadosh Yisai bes kol kelav, and he sanctified it and all its utensils. Ves mizbeach bes kol kelav, and the altar and all its vessels. Vayimshachem vayikadosh Yisam, he anointed them with oil and he sanctified them. So Rashi asks a question. Rashi has a problem. The pasuk says, and it was when Moshe completed. Weren't there other people involved also in the construction of the Mishkan? Not just Moshe. So Rashi says, Betzalel v'Haliyav v'chol chacham leiv asras hamishkan. Betzalel and Haliyav, that's we were introduced to back in the book of Shmos, and all those wise of heart, they made the Mishkan. Nonetheless, when it came to the completion, the credit was given to Moshe. Because he dedicated himself to it. He, so to speak, sacrificed from himself for it. To see the form of every single part of the Mishkan that he was shown on the mountain, on Har Sinai, and to teach them to those who made the work. And no mistake was made with any one of the form. Meaning, Moshe had a very difficult job. He had to make sure that every detail that Hashem showed him of the Mishkan on Har Sinai, that he would give it over. He would teach the craftsmen to do what he was shown. That took a lot of meticulousness. It took a lot of self-sacrifice. And at the end of the day, it was a perfect job. So Moshe is credited because, as Rashi says, Masar nafsho yalav. He dedicated himself. He sacrificed himself for it to make sure that everything came out exactly as it should. And so too we find by David. Being that he dedicated himself. He gave up from himself for the construction of the Beis HaMikdash. Now, who built the Beis HaMikdash? King Solomon, his son. But David actually laid all the groundwork, all the foundations that had to be done. But this was done with Masar Nafsha. This was done with tremendous dedication. Shenamar, where do we see David's dedication to the Beis HaMikdash? Shenamar, as it states, Zachar Hashem LeDavid Eis Kolu Nasai. Hashem, remember for David all his affliction. Hashem Nishba Hashem, that he swore to Hashem. What did he swear to Hashem? It says, the Psukim, Rashi is reading on the Psukim, but it says, the Psukim read like this, it's in English translation. Hashem, remember David and all his affliction, how he swore unto the Lord, I will not enter my house, nor will I mount my bed, I will not give sleep to my eyes, until I find a place for Hashem, an abode for the mighty one of Yaakov. David was so preoccupied. He was so preoccupied in being able to make a Beis HaMikdash. Hashem told him, no, he can't. And it says that he set up things. He laid the groundwork, the foundations, as much as he could. Whatever he could do, he did. But he was so preoccupied. He was so consumed with the idea of having the Beis HaMikdash that he said he couldn't say, I'm not going to enter my house. I'm not going to go sleep in a bed. until I can get this done. That was David's Mesiras Nefesh. That was David's dedication, commitment, self-sacrifice. And therefore, at the end, as Rashi brings down, and therefore, at the end, the Beis Hamikdash was called on his name. As it says, Re'ei Beischa David. This is from the book of Malachim. It says, see your house, David. So the Beis Hamikdash is called by David's name because of the fact that it was Masar Nafshay. He sacrificed himself. He completely dedicated himself for the cause. So Rashi is saying, why is Moshe getting the credit here for erecting the Mishkan when there are so many other people involved in constructing it? Why is David HaMelech getting credit for the Beis HaMikdash when he didn't build it? And the answer is because both of them Masar Nafsha. That's the common denominator here. Common denominator is these words, Masar Nafsha. He gave up from himself. He committed himself. He sacrificed of himself in order, each one sacrificed from themselves in order to make sure that the Mishkan got done properly and that Beis HaMikdash was built. That's the common denominator, and that is why the credit goes to them. So the question is, how do we understand that? How are we to understand that because of their, what we call, Rashi says, Masar Nafshay, they gave up from themselves, Mesiras Nefesh. When you give up from yourself, self-sacrifice for a cause, total commitment to a cause. Why is that an ingredient for getting the credit when so many other people did much more of the work? At the end of the day, much more of the work was done by Betzalel, Eliav, their assistants. Much more was done by them. Much more of the Beis Hamikdash was built by Shlomo HaMelech than by David. So good. It's very nice. They were dedicated, did what they could. But why would they get the credit when seemingly it should at least be shared with other people? So the explanation that I saw is the following. And that is that any time we get involved in some kind of endeavor, so of course we want it to succeed. And we don't want it just to succeed, we want it to last. We want what we achieve to have a lasting effect. We're not looking to work hard and then, at some point, all of a sudden the whole thing falls apart. We desire, and it's a very normal desire. We desire that what we achieve, we want it to last. Even when it comes to achieving, there's a lot of work we can put into achieving, but at the end of the day, will we succeed? We don't know. And even after you do succeed, will it last? We don't know. So for all these things, we need what's called schusim. We need merits. It's not just going to be enough that you go ahead and you work hard and you do what you got to do and you set it up. Now you've got your accomplishment. Everything now is going to go straight. In order for your achievement to be able to last, in order for it to be lasting, you need a schus, you need a merit. You need something beyond your work, something beyond your skill. You need something more. And what is that? Rashi is telling us it's called Masar Nafshay, because they dedicated themselves. They committed themselves. Masar Nafshay, they gave up from themselves in order to be able to accomplish what they wanted to accomplish. It's that dedication. It's that kind of commitment that is the merit that your achievement should continue. You want to build a Beis Hamikdash, you want it to be able to last. Moshe wanted to make a Mishkan, it should last. Unfortunately, eventually they both got destroyed. But the facts are they lasted for as long as they lasted because Moshe and David both laid a foundation for it to last. And what was that foundation based on? The dedication to the mitzvah. Not just doing the mitzvah, but a complete dedication to the mitzvah. Self-sacrifice for the mitzvah. That is the schus. That's the schus kiyum. That's the merit for it to be able to last. Those are the foundations that they set that allowed, that was the merit now. That was the merit. The merit was the foundation for the achievement to last. So yes, Shlomo HaMelech built the Beis HaMikdash. Betzalel, Eliav, and their assistants, they put together the Mishkan. But Moshe is getting the credit because you know who's going to make this last? Who made the foundation for it to last, to truly last? Who created the merit that it should be able to last? It was Moshe. It was Moshe's merit, his Mesiras Nefesh, his self-sacrifice. That was the merit for the Mishkan to be able to last as long as it did. And therefore, in this sense, we give him the credit. Because yes, Betzalel, Eliyav, they built the Mishkan. But what's going to make it? What's going to keep? What's going to be? How is it going to last? What's going to make sure? What's going to give it the ability to last? The answer is that's Moshe Rabbeinu's merit. That's Moshe Rabbeinu's doing. So who completed erecting the Mishkan? Who completed the process of erecting a Mishkan that would last? That was Moshe. Because of Mesar Nafshay, because of the Mesiras Nefesh, because of the self-sacrifice that he put into it. And it may sound like, we may not be able to appreciate the self-sacrifice of Moshe in making sure all the details were given over properly and brought out properly. But, anytime you have a very complicated process, there's a lot of work that has to go into it. You have to put a lot of effort, a lot of focus, and the Mishkan had to be perfect because the Mishkan was just going to be a building. It was going to be where the Shekhinah was going to rest. So there were so many details in a physical sense and a spiritual sense that Moshe had to make sure he got it right and he gave it over and that they got it right and clear so they could do it right. That took a lot of self-sacrifice. And therefore, it was his merit that gave the Mishkan a lasting effect or the ability for it to last. David HaMelech's dedication to the Beis HaMikdash is what gave it its chance to be able to last as long as it did. And therefore, the credit is given to him. Now, I want to share with you a story that brings out this point about, the dedication that a person puts into things, about the fact that, the results it can bear. You can't always know everything, why something happens, but sometimes we, hear something and we understand very well, where the merits were that let this happen. So Rabbi Yechiel Spira tells a story of a widowed Jewish mother. This was in the 40s because she was widowed as a young woman, and she lived in a small town. There wasn't a lot of if I recall the story properly, there really wasn't a lot of Jewish community there where they lived. But she and her husband were Shomer Shabbos. They kept Shabbos. They were observant Jews, and they raised their children to be that way. Again, this is the 40s. There were no yeshivas there. There was really nothing there. But by the strength of who they were, the strength of their personality, they raised a Torah observant family. And during World War II, her two sons were drafted. They were going to war. And she told her later on, her grandchildren, that she turned to Hashem when her sons went off to war. She turned to Hashem and she prayed, I'm sending away two Yiddish Kinderlach. I'm sending away two Jewish children. Please send me back two Yiddish Kinderlach. That was her prayer to Hashem. I'm sending you two Yiddish Kinderlach, two Jewish children. Truly Jewish. They were truly, in the sense, they were living Jewish. They're Yiddish Kinderlach. They live a Jewish life. And I ask you, Hashem, please send me back two Yiddish Kinderlach, two Jewish children. 3 years later, the war ended, and both her boys were coming home. If I'm not mistaken, one of them saw battle, one of them got off. I think had an office job. But at the end of the day, they both were away for 3 years, and now that war was over, they were coming home. On the Thursday before their arrival, one of her other children noticed that this mother was not eating. She wasn't eating. So she asked her mother, why are you not eating? And so this woman revealed that for the past 3 years, she had been fasting every Monday and Thursday for her son's safe return. Every Monday and Thursday for 3 years, she was fasting for her son's safe return. Okay, so the children had said, but mommy, the war's over. They're coming home. So now you don't have to fast anymore. And the mother responded, she said, Kinderlach, children, I didn't fast that the war should end. I fasted because I sent away two Yiddish Kinderlach. I sent away two Jewish children. When I see that my two Yiddish Kinderlach have remained true to how they were raised, I'll stop fasting. And the Sunday her two sons arrived home. she saw that Hashem sent her back to Yiddish Kindlach. They had remained observant, they had made loyal to their upbringing. And that next day, she ate Monday morning for the first time in 3 years. Unbelievable. That's the dedication of a Jewish mother. But I think we could say that it was her dedication that brought her sons back the way she wanted them to. It was her dedication by which the Rebbeinu Shalom gave these two young men, clearly under circumstances that would not lend themselves to remain observant, for many reasons. But at the end of the day, they both came back Yiddish Kindlach. They both came back observant. They married. They had families. She had children. She had grandchildren. All Torah loyal, all Torah observant, and it's the dedication is unbelievable, and we can say that it was her dedication, her Mesiras Nefesh, that allowed that her children should last, that her children should remain Yiddish Kindlach, observant Jews dedicated to the life that they were raised by. So this is the lesson here in the end of the parsha. The fact that Mesiras Nefesh, dedication to a mitzvah, dedication to a cause, dedication to Hashem, that is what's going to give us a lasting effect. That's what's going to give continuity and that's going to give continuity to the things that we work to try to accomplish. All right. Now we did that. Let's go back to the beginning of the parsha. Towards the beginning of the parsha. So this is Perek A, chapter 5. Pasuk Tes, verse 9. Okay, this is Perek A, Pasuk Tes, chapter 5, verse 9. V'chol teruma, and any separation, any donation, l'chol kadshe b'nei Yisrael, of all the holy, kadshe means the holies of. Here in this context, it means the holy donations of the Jewish people, asher yakrivu la'kohen, that they offer to the Kohen, lo yi, it'll be to him. Rashi explained that this pasuk that's talking about a donation of the Jewish people that they bring to the Kohen, that lo yi, it will be his, is talking about Bikurim. Bikurim, the first fruits that we bring to the Beis Hamikdash, and we give the basket to the Kohen, it says, the Kohen keeps those Bikurim. Then the next pasuk reads, pasuk Yud, verse 10, V'ish es kadashav lo yiyu, a man kadashav, his holy things will be to him. Ish asher yiten la'kohen lo yiyah, a man that will give to the Kohen, it'll be to him. Now let's read these words again. And a man, his holy things will be to him. A man, what he gives to the Kohen will be to him. Does that make any sense to you? Kind of tough. Not a very simple pasuk, not a very simple verse to understand, to explain. So Rashi explains it means like this. Rashi says it means V'ishas kadashav lo yiyu. That means to say, and I'll share with you Rashi's explanation he brings down from the Medrash. It means that if, let's say, you were supposed to give, we give to the Kohen the Truma, we give to the Levi the Meiser, we tithe our grains, we give it to the Levi. So basically, the Torah is saying is like this: V'ishas kadashav, a man has holy things. Holy things here means the holy things he's supposed to give away. Okay, the Ishas kadashav, a man his holy things will be to him means that if he doesn't give the holy things, means he's supposed to give a tenth, and he doesn't give a tenth, lo yiyu, he'll be left with a tenth. You didn't give away your tenth that you're supposed to give away, meaning you're kadashav. The holy things you're supposed to give away, it's going to be to you. That means, and when is that? If you don't give them as you should, then that amount you should have given, that's all you're going to be left with. And then the pasuk says, Ish ashayiten la kohen lo yiyah. And a person that gives to the Kohen what he's supposed to give, all the gifts that are supposed to go to the Kohen, lo yiyah, it'll be to him. What? Wealth. Hashem will give you prosperity. That's how Rashi explains. That's the midrashic interpretation that Rashi cites in this pasuk. Now I want to share with you a thought from the Chavetz Chaim on these words of Ish es kadashav lo yiyu. A man, his holy things will be to him. It means like this. It means that in life we possess different things. We have material possessions, and we have spiritual possessions. What are our spiritual possessions? The mitzvahs that we do. So the pasuk is saying like this, according to the Chavetz Chaim. You know what possessions you have, lo you will be with you, they'll remain with you. You'll never lose them. Kadasha, your holy things. Your material things, maybe you'll have them during your lifetime, maybe you'll lose them in your lifetime, but there'll be one point you're not going to have them anymore. No question about it. And that's after 120 years. Those material possessions aren't going to do a thing for you. So the pasuk is trying to stress, your holy things, that'll be to you. That's what's going to remain with you. Keep your focus on the things you want to be able to have possessions that will truly benefit you and remain with you. Those are kadasha. Those are your holy possessions. Those are the mitzvahs that you do. So in the sefer here, Yaakov Lekach, it brings a medrash. It doesn't say what a medrash is, but it brings a story from the medrash, and it's meant to be a parable. Okay, we have a man. All right, he has 3 friends. What do you think the names are? Reuven, Shimon, and Levi. Okay, he's got 3. They got three names: Reuven, Shimon, and Levi. Now Reuven's his best friend. You know, best friend, BFF, best friend forever. Okay, that's Reuven. Shimon, they're friends. They're not best friends, but they're friends. And Levi is what we call an acquaintance. So the main character of our story one time gets a summons to the king. When you get summoned to the king, it's usually not good news. So he goes to his best friend Reuven, and he says to him, "Can you do me a favor? Could you come with me and be a character witness for me? Like, come with me to the court. You know, support me. Come with me to the court and be a character witness." And Reuben says, "No, sorry, I'm not going." So he's shocked. His best friend doesn't want to help him. What's he going to do? So he turns to his next friend. He turns to Shimon. And Shimon says to him, "Well, I'll take you to the palace, but after that, I'm done. I'm not going inside. I'm not going to stand with you in front of the king." He's lost. What's he going to do? He has no choice but to turn to his acquaintance, Levi. And Levi agrees. Levi says, "I'll come with you, I'll support you, and I will be a character witness for you." So here we have a person who thought that he assumed that he could rely on his best friend, and it didn't work. Then his next friend thought he could rely on him, didn't work. What did work? What did help him at the end? What he didn't rely on, what he didn't think was his good friend. So the Medrash says like this, people, when it comes to their possessions, sometimes they think they're best friends with their possessions because it makes them feel secure and strong and able to do whatever they want to do. Well, one day you're gonna need help, and those possessions aren't going to come with you. They're going to be in your house. They're going to stay in your house. They're not going to move from where they are. Those things that you thought were your best friends in your lifetime, when you really need them, they're not going to be there. Okay, what are the next friends that you have? And maybe, people would put the order differently, but what's the order? The next thing you have? Your family, your friends. They support you. Well, on that day when you need all the help you can get after 120 years, they will come with you. They'll come to the cemetery. They'll come to the grave. They'll escort you to your final resting place. And after that, they're done. What's going to be your best friend then? Maybe something that during your lifetime you didn't think was your best friend. Maybe something in your lifetime that you didn't appreciate as much as you should have. You didn't appreciate what those mitzvahs do for you. Sometimes the person thinks that his material possessions do more for him than his mitzvahs. But at the end of the day, when it really counts, what's really going to support you, what's really going to help you, are the things that you didn't necessarily realize how good friends they were to you. The things that during your lifetime you may not have relied upon, now you're going to see what are your true friends, what are your true possessions, what are the things that are going to help you in that final stage when you really need help. And that's your mitzvahs. And that's v'ish es kadashav lo yiyu. A man, his holy objects, his holy things, his holy possessions, his Torah, his mitzvahs, lo yiyu, they will be to him. they will remain with a person forever. Have a wonderful Shabbos.